Now, dear audience, it is the time for the launch of Global Islamic Finance Report 2020-2021. And it is also worth mentioning here that Minhaj University Lahore has been the knowledge partner, proud knowledge partner of this GIFR report since 2018. So now for moderating the session, I would request Dr. Rizwan Malik, and he will be moderating this session. Dr. Rizwan Malik, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. Nabiyana Muhammadin wa ala ali wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Excellencies, distinguished guests, fellow panelists, all our keynote speakers and other speakers who've joined us for this session. A warm welcome to all of you joining us from different parts of the world, as well as our fellow attendees. Let me start, first of all, by congratulating Dr. Hussain, Mohi-ud-Din Qadri, and his able team, Minhaj University, for putting together an excellent event, an event that has brought together a lot of people from different parts of the world and who has shared with us their expertise and knowledge through different keynote speeches, as well as the panel discussions that we heard over the course of 2 days. And it wouldn't have been possible without the strong support from different partners, different bodies, as well as the team, managing team, who's putting this who's behind the scene working for all this. So congratulations to all of you, and hope the deliberations of this conference will be taken to a next level, and we will develop on it for the growth and development of the Islamic finance industry. For this particular session that we have, on behalf of Cambridge Institute of Islamic Finance and Cambridge International Financial Advisory and Minhaj University Lahore, it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you to this launch event of 11th issue of Global Islamic Finance Report. The report is published by Cambridge Institute of Islamic Finance and produced by Cambridge IFA from the UK since the year 2010. GIFR, the short form of Global Islamic Finance Report, is the oldest annual report published with a dual purpose. First, it is an annual review and analysis of the state of affairs of Islamic financial industry globally. It was also the first report to present to us an authentic estimate of the size of Islamic finance industry in 2010, and continues to do so on an annual basis. Before that, we used to have an estimate that was not well researched. And the GIFR, with its launch in 2010, provided us an authentic measure of the global development of the industry. Secondly, it is a means through which innovative ideas of the leading thinkers, practitioners are disseminated to wider Islamic and conventional financial markets. GIFR is also the first publication to rank countries according to its growth and development in Islamic finance through its innovative Islamic Finance Country Index, which was launched in the year 2011, and which is based on a methodology, a scientific methodology, which is objective in nature, and it continues to provide a gauge for the Islamic finance industry to keep account of the development of Islamic finance industry in the local economies. So again, it's a pioneer to rank countries according to their growth and development in Islamic finance industry on an annual basis. Since 2010, each year the report has a key theme, and this year's report focuses very timely on the Islamic finance for socio-economic inclusion and sustainable development. The report generally is produced with the help of leaders, policymakers, academicians who share their knowledge and expertise by way of contributing to the report. The report, as I said, is about 10 years old, and it is the most authentic and widely respected and referenced annual report, which has received tremendous recognition and support from leading Islamic financial institutions, policymakers, head of states from around the world. For this year's annual report, the publishers and the producers are in particular indebted to the support received from IDB group of companies, in particular the International Cooperation for the Development of Private Sector, International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation, the Islamic Corporation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, the strategic partner of the report DDCAP Group, and knowledge partner Minhaj University, Lahore. Both the strategic partner and the knowledge partner have provided tremendous support, so has the other sponsors. Usually, the report is launched at a physical event in different parts of the world. However, due to restrictions imposed or due to COVID-19, we had to resort to a virtual launch. We are pleased to have some of the well-known and established leaders in Islamic economics, banking, and finance with us on this platform for the next 1 hour. In general, if there are any questions, the flow of the event, or the flow of the 1 hour is there will be 3 keynote speeches, and at the end we'll have about 10 minutes for question answers. Should you have any question answers, please use the Q&A tab and we'll try to accommodate as many as we can. Now, before any further ado, let me invite our supporter and sponsor of the report, the Islamic Corporation for the Development of Private Sector, and the CEO of it, Mr. Ayman Sejiny, to deliver his keynote speech. Mr. Sejiny has over 2 decades of experience working in corporate and investment banking in local, regional, and international markets. He has held numerous senior positions, including at different banks and financial institutions, including Citibank, ABN AMRO in Saudi Arabia, Samba, and Saudi Hollandi Bank, respectively. Most recently, he was the CEO of Ibdar Bank and a Bank Al Khair in Bahrain. Now, before any further ado, let me hand it over to Mr. Ayman to deliver his keynote address.
I think, excuse me, I think there's a bit delay on their side. He's just joining the session.
Okay. Can I then, in that case, invite Dr. Humayon Dar to take over and present to us the overview. Dr. Humayon Dar, who is the founding editor of the report, as well as the thought and the brain behind publishing of the Global Islamic Finance Report. Can I invite him to present to us the overview of the Global Islamic Finance Report 2020-2021 and give us and present to us some of the key highlights and the Islamic Finance Country Index?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me share my screen first, if you allow me, and then I would go to my PowerPoint presentation. So I hope you can see. My name is Humayon Dar, and I am founder of founder of Islamic Finance, Global Islamic Finance Report, and I serve as editor-in-chief of the report as well. Before I introduce you to Islamic Finance Country Index, IFC, and share some of the country rankings for the year 2020, it is my responsibility to thank all those institutions and organizations which have, over the last 10 years, helped us publish, which is undoubtedly a leader in its class of publications. I would like to thank in particular Islamic Development Bank Group and its constituent bodies like ICD, ITFC, and ICF. My special appreciation also goes to DDCAP Group, which has very generously helped us throughout. For the last couple of years, we have had the pleasure of working with Minhaj University, Lahore, which is serving as a knowledge partner for GIFR 2020-21. The highlights of our today's GIFR launch or GIFR report are 4 or 5. I have only about 15 minutes, so I would be picking up on the 5 areas. The first one is Global Islamic Financial AUM. As Dr. Rizwan Malik mentioned, since 2010, every year we would come up with our own estimate of the size of the industry. And the data we used for this report, this was for the year 2019, end of 2019. So at the end of 2019, the global Islamic financial AUM was estimated to be $2.733 trillion US. It must be noted that the growth in the industry has gone down significantly. For the year under report, it was 5.5% only, which is significantly less than 11.7%, which is the annual growth rate for the period 2009-2019. The industry remains concentrated around banking. 74% of global Islamic financial AUM is actually in the banking sector, i.e., full-fledged Islamic banks and the conventional banks offering Islamic banking services through a window model. They hold 74% of the global Islamic financial assets. It is encouraging to see that Sukuk is increasing its share in the global AUM. 17% of the global Islamic finance industry is captured by Sukuk, which is 1% improvement over the reported figure last time, which was 16%. So this is the highlight on a very macro level of the Global Islamic Finance Report 2020-21. With this one, I would like to come to IFC. IFC is the oldest index ranking different countries of the world. We started this in 2011 and it covers 48 countries of the world only. We have kept the size of the sample to 48 deliberately because our analysis suggested that other countries of the world, their role and standing in Islamic banking and finance with respect to global Islamic financial assets remain at best marginal. It is based on a multivariate analysis, which was the first such attempt back in 2011 when we launched IFC. Since then, some other multivariate analysis-based indices have come out in the market as well. Our analysis, which was factor analysis at that time, suggested that there were 8 factors which were important in the context of Islamic banking and finance in its development. Since 2011, we have done 2 major adjustments to the index, which have resulted in some kind of variations in the rankings over the last 9 years. The factors, 8 factors which contribute to IFC. Size remains the most important factor, with 62.5% variation in the index explained by the size factors. Size factor itself is a composite variable comprising number of Islamic banks in a country, number of Islamic banks and other financial institutions in a country, and the amount of sukuk outstanding in a particular country. Sharia governance is another important factor, capturing 19.7% importance in the index. Muslim population, education and culture, regulation and law. These are other 3 factors with the respective weights of 7.2, 5.7, and 4.9%. So these are the constituent factors of IFC. Briefly, I would like to cover some of the countries which we have ranked in IFC 2020. I will be focusing on the top 10 and the bottom 10. Top 10 countries are Malaysia, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Pakistan, Brunei Darussalam, United Arab Emirates, Bangladesh, and Kuwait. Malaysia ranks number 1, and this position of number 1 has taken over by Malaysia from Indonesia, which was ranked number 1 in our last year's ranking. These two countries, when you look at their scores, they're very close to each other. And based on our observation of the Indonesian market, we believe that the competition between Indonesia and Malaysia would be very tough. With this new merger of Bank Sharia Mandiri and a couple of other banks, which is going to give rise to the largest Islamic bank in Indonesia, we believe that the ranking next year might be significantly different from what we are presenting over here. That bottom 10 countries are the Russian Federation, Syria, Germany, the Philippines, Ghana, Mauritius, China, France, Gambia, and Spain. So from the score thing, if I highlight this column, we can see that the IFC score for these countries is 1.45 out of 100 or less. This is one thing which must explain the size of our IFC sample, which is 48. If we go beyond these countries, the score attained by the countries is very, very small, which doesn't make a lot of sense in a global context. I would like to highlight this one thing, a very interesting story. Now, this is about 10 years we have been publishing IFC, and this longitudinal data is giving rise to some stories which must have some implications for development of Islamic banking and finance world over. This story is based on a comparison between Bangladesh and Bahrain in terms of their IFC scores. When we started IFC in 2011, both these countries were marginal countries with respect to IFC. They were between, the IFC scores were between 10 and 20 in 2011. But over the last 10 years, Bangladesh has improved in its ranking a lot more than the improvement in score and ranking of Bahrain. Okay. So Bangladesh has now become as an exceptional Islamic finance market, and Bahrain is a significant Islamic finance market in the world. What do we mean by an exceptional or significant or other markets? We classify Islamic finance markets with respect to IFC into 5. Insignificant markets are those for which IFC score is 10 or less. Marginal Islamic finance markets are those for which IFC score is greater than 10 but less than or equal to 20. Moderate Islamic finance markets are the ones for which IFC score lies between 20 and 30, and significant are those for which IFC score is between 30 and 40. Exceptional Islamic finance markets are the ones for which IFC score is greater than 40. So according to this classification, there are 10 exceptional Islamic finance markets, and those are the top countries which I have mentioned previously. There are 3 significant Islamic finance markets, moderate are 3, marginal are 2, and there are 30 insignificant Islamic finance markets. This is another reason we would like to maintain our sample size to 48, or maybe next year we would be including a couple of more countries to make it 50. Beyond 50, we don't think that the presence of Islamic banking and finance in those countries is meaningful with respect to what is happening globally, i.e. with respect to 2.733 trillion US dollar industry, global industry size. If in a country the size is very, very small, we would not like to include that country in IFC, at least for the time being. Right. I would like to highlight three countries as well, which are significant gainers this year. By this year, I mean 2019 data. Senegal is the number one in terms of gains. It has jumped 20 places from 47 to 27 to become the 27th most significant Islamic finance market in the world. Nigeria has jumped 5 places to become 21st most significant Islamic finance market in the world. And Pakistan has jumped 4 places to become the 6th most important Islamic finance market in the world. And these are very exceptional achievements by these countries. We were impressed by what is happening in Senegal. Normally, in this part of the world, we are not a lot concerned about what is happening in Africa, but we are very happy that African countries like Nigeria and Senegal, they are featured in Global Islamic Finance report with significance. With this, I would like to stop here. For further details, ladies and gentlemen, I would request you to consult Global Islamic Finance Report 2020-21, which was made available virtually and in soft form in our first launch, which happened about a couple of weeks back. And I believe that there would be some arrangements for dissemination of information on GIFR 2021 after this launch. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Professor Humayon Dar. And I must congratulate you personally as well, the person behind the scenes working really hard to make sure that the report is published every year in a sustainable manner. So it's a great to have the 11th issue published, and I was very lucky to be part of at least 6 earlier versions before moving away. But I'm still glad to be part of the report in general. Key points: the size of Islamic banking and finance industry based on the Global Islamic Finance Report 2020-21. According to the report, it is 2.733 trillion. That's the size of the global Islamic finance industry. 2 important markets to look up to or to look after, maybe Bangladesh and Bahrain. Bangladesh has progressed a lot, and Pakistan being a neighboring country, probably need to look at some of the policies that are deployed by the Bangladesh market. So in general, Bangladesh is a good market to see the progress and the growth of Islamic banking in any economy. So with that, as Dr. Humayon mentioned, the report is available in soft copy and will be made available to all the attendees of this session as well, inshallah. With that, let me move to the next speaker, and it is actually the DDCAP group, which has been a great supporter of Global Islamic Finance Report since its early days. And the report is thankful to their support in every manner, to support to the report as well as their other initiatives. But we have the Deputy CEO with us, Lawrence, the good friend as well. So it's great to see you, Lawrence, here. Before I invite Lawrence, we'll play a small video which will introduce DDCAP in a better manner. So let me just hand it over, and we'll play a small video. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, there was, I think, problem with the sound, so we'll try and play it again towards the end of the session. But in the interest of time, let me move over to Lawrence, who, as I said, DDCAP in general is a very important Islamic finance intermediary who has been supporting the growth of Islamic finance for over 2 decades now, and we're glad to have DDCAP with us today, who has also recently become a member of AAOIFI. So, I would like to invite Lawrence, who's the Executive Director and Deputy CEO at DDCAP Group, a very good friend of mine, who has more than 25 years of experience within Islamic finance, to deliver his keynote remarks and, share with us some of their experience and some takeaways generally that we can take from DDCAP. Over to you, Lawrence.
Rizwan, thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you as well for your kind words. Good afternoon, everyone. As Rizwan said, my name is Lawrence Oliver. I'm the Deputy CEO of the DDCAP Group. Unfortunately, you didn't get to hear it, but at the beginning of our video that hopefully we'll see again shortly, and apologies for the technical issues that we faced there. My Group MD, Stella Cox, also joins me in welcoming you all to this event today, and to say how honoured we are at DDCAP to once again be a strategic partner of this year's Global Islamic Finance Report. It's certainly a report that we've proudly supported for a number of years, and we look forward to doing that in the coming years as well. Since its introduction in 2010, the report has swiftly become recognised as the market-leading reference guide for the industry, delivering both in-depth analysis of performance trends together with specific sector focuses. This year's specific focus of the report is Islamic social finance, and it includes the role that technology can play in rapidly evolving the impact of Islamic social finance globally. These focuses resonate very much with my colleagues and I at DDCAP, as both are areas of significant importance to us. DDCAP has long aspired to connect to the global Islamic financial market responsibly, and we are very proud to be the first and only intermediary in the Islamic financial services industry to become a signatory of the United Nations endorsed Principles for Responsible Investment. And more recently, we've also become signatory to the Principles for Responsible Banking. In addition to this, we've been an observer member of the RFI Foundation since 2015, and were elevated to a full member status in October of 2019. Our sustainable focuses are embedded in our technology offering to the Islamic marketplace, and this is our Ethos asset facilitation platform that we've had now for a number of years. And throughout the past year, the ongoing horrific global pandemic that we all continue to face on a daily basis has resulted in unprecedented demand from the industry for fully integrated straight-through processing functionality, something that we have been very proud to deliver in a seamless fashion. The demand for technology and technological requirements from the industry has been unfounded this year, something we're not surprised about because the market was slowly gathering pace already, but in the past year particularly, this requirement for straight-through processing and system integration has become of massive importance. And in the report this year, you will find specific chapters dedicated entirely to these sectors. It won't surprise you to learn as well that the 2021 Global Islamic Finance Report has an entire chapter focused on the impact of COVID-19 on the Islamic financial industry. And the reassuring and positive message that it delivered will, I'm sure, provide everyone that is fortunate enough to read it with a great deal of comfort. On behalf of everyone at DDCAP, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Professor Humayon Dar and his excellent team at Cambridge IFA for the successful launch of this year's GIFR report. And we very much look forward to continuing our strategic partnership in the years to come. I thank you all again for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this official launch and the conference thereafter. Thank you, Rizwan.
Excellent, Lawrence. Thank you very much, as always. Crisp. Thank you very much for your kind words, and all the best. A lot of good work that DDCAP is doing, both in Islamic finance space as sustainable finance, and we hope you continue to support the great initiatives for the development of Islamic finance industry globally. And glad to have you as part of this conference as well, the fourth Islamic Economics and Finance Conference 2021. So stay with us, for some time. We'll have some Q&A as well towards the end of the session. Thank you, Lawrence. Moving swiftly on to our second keynote speaker, Dr. Hussain Mohi-ud-Din Qadri, who has been very well introduced by Dr. Khurram at the start of this session. So I will not go into the details of it, but mashallah, he's the founder of this forum, this conference, as well as the founder of a lot of initiatives at Minhaj University in general, and a lot of other social initiatives associated with the university as well. He's the deputy chairman of Board of Governance at Minhaj University, Lahore. Again, congratulations for putting together a great show for the fourth year running, and inshallah we'll see more and more growth of this conference in the years to come. So over to you, Dr. Hussain, for your keynote speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rizwan Malik. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Professor Humayon Dar and his team for coming up with this most comprehensive report on Islamic finance for last 11 years and continuing with this great work. So a lot of congratulations to Professor Humayon Dar and his team, and I pray to Allah Almighty that this effort and work continues for the benefit of Ummah and the Islamic finance industry. Coming to the point, there is a chapter which has been published in this report, and I would like to mention a couple of highlights from that work, basically, which is much relevant today as well in terms of because of the impact of COVID-19 today we see on economic conditions and unemployment rates. So I will be discussing a couple of points from that chapter. If we look at COVID-19, it is considered as the worst financial crisis. Due to its severity, it has shackled the world economy and disturbed the curve of unemployment and poverty. Islamic social finance has great potential to provide sustainable solution for existing problems and challenges. So this chapter in this report has keenly looked into it and provided an interesting solution, which I would like to discuss in this presentation. According to an estimate, by 2030, 50 to 80% of poor population will be in Muslim countries or countries with a significant Muslim population. So that's a huge number, that 50 to 80% of a poor population will be living in Muslim countries by 2030. So what comes into our mind as a solution, and what Islamic banking and finance can provide us as a solution to deal with this upcoming issue and trouble to the Muslim world and the humanity in general in terms and in the form of poverty. Islamic social finance is the solution basically, which includes charity-based tools such as Zakat, Waqf and other donations, and commercial-based tools such as Qardul Hasana, which is a benevolent loan, and Islamic microfinance and other modes of Islamic finance. These tools and instruments of Islamic social finance have a strong capability to address major challenges such as poverty, unemployment, lack of financing for businesses, and can also better align with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Talking about zakat, what exactly the zakat is? Zakat, a mandatory giving comprising of at least 2.5% of the income of wealth, which should be paid by every eligible Muslim earning above a certain threshold, transforming beneficiaries into givers. Talking about the total collected zakat around the world, so it is estimated that around worldwide, the value of zakat alone is potentially over $200 billion to $1 trillion annually. In terms of resource requirement for the poverty alleviation, it is estimated that a country like Pakistan, in Pakistan, around 10 million people are unemployed and poverty, living under the poverty line. So if we look at the estimation, a country like Pakistan would need 1 to 6.77% of its GDP to combat poverty in the country. Given the scarcity of resources, zakat must play an active role in such countries. For this, the collection and disbursement system needs some real changes and improvement. I have done a little calculation to give a better idea to our audience. 2020 June, the budget announced by the government of Pakistan was around 277 billion US dollars. And if we look at the 2.5% of the total GDP, so that comes to 6,750 million US dollars. And there is another interesting calculation made by a scholar, which suggests that the nationwide zakat collected in Pakistan, so he included a couple of factors by including those heads like zakat on the value of livestock, agriculture produce, tradable inventory, foreign exchange reserves, currency in circulation, established estimated gold and silver deposits, and financial assets like investments in mutual funds, stocks, market capitalization, national saving schemes, pension schemes, bank deposits. And his estimates shows that zakat collection in Pakistan could approximately reach 7% of total GDP, is enough for covering the poverty gap in Pakistan. So coming back to that if instead of 7%, we just take 2.5% of the total GDP, even though the research is suggesting 7% of the total GDP can be calculated against zakat in Pakistan only. But if we just consider 2.5% of the total GDP, that comes to 6,750,000,000. Even you leave 2.5% on the side, and we just take 1% of the total GDP, which is 2,700,000,000 US dollars. So the model I have proposed here is basically to eliminate the unemployment from the country. As I have mentioned, 10 million people are approximately unemployed in Pakistan. And if we join this zakat model and collected zakat along with microfinance tool, which is one of the social finance tools, and if we look at the small businesses, which can worth roughly around $2,000 per unit, which is equal to 300 or more thousand rupees in Pakistani currency. So they can buy a small auto rickshaws or a laptops or bikes for food delivery, for the Uber, and similar kind of small businesses. A person can start with this much amount, which is 2,000 US dollar. So with 2,700,000,000 collected zakat, if properly and justly distributed in the country, so we can easily have 1 million units of $2,000, which means that we can provide employment to 1 million people in a year. We can make them self-employed people, and this much number will automatically be reduced from the list of zakat collectors and the people who deserve zakat, and they become the zakat givers. And the next year, and this loan is given for 2 years at least, so the next year again 1 more million is accommodated and they get employment, and third year 1 more units of employment are provided to the people along with the return of first year 1 million. So the third year 2 million people will be provided the employment, or they will be made employed, self-employed. And in the fourth year again 2 million would be, that comes to 6 million people. And in the fifth year again 2 million people gets the job, which comes to 8 million. So in 5 to 6 years time, if zakat is properly calculated by the country and distributed in a nice manner, so in 6 years time Pakistan can get rid of complete unemployment in the country. So this kind of potential zakat has basically in it. And here on the screen I have shared the model basically which I am proposing here. So if the zakat is properly collected by the organizations like SMEDA in Pakistan and couple of other organizations, similar organization is other countries, and it is not privately distributed. Usually the people privately distribute this zakat because of lack of trust in the government. If government is able to achieve the trust of people, and this amount of zakat is directly collected by the government, and the organizations like SMEDA and similar organization can directly distribute this zakat in the form of microfinance products in the country, they can easily eliminate unemployment up to 10 million in 5 to 6 years. And the model here you see on the screens I am suggesting is basically the zakat pair that goes to the zakat government agencies, and then there is a zakat manager which is visible on the screen. He basically look after the processes, and then the application is assessed by the zakat manager, and then the funds are distributed in terms of the product properly, the business product, and then the repayment mechanism is established. So coming to the uniqueness of this model, zakat beneficiaries would become zakat givers, will have a great impact on poverty alleviation and employment creation. Economic activity would be boosted. Economic growth would also sprung up. Latest technologies, ML and DS based platforms will be used for this product. Country based causes, small businesses, self-employed, interest-free loans are provided. Product based financing is given. Learn to earn vocational training is provided to the people. Skills development and job placement. Coming to the end, this proposed model, the zakat funds are utilized as I'm repeating and summarizing this model, are utilized as microfinance funds. The utilization could be based on Qardul Hasana or any other viable mode. The zakat will be distributed in a way that each year the recipients' number would go down, and eventually those who were the recipients will become zakat givers in the society. And for this purpose, the tremendous growth and development in the field of machine learning and data science is an opportunity that can be utilized from the initial step to distribution of zakat as well. Through machine learning, the platform will be classically the zakat beneficiaries in terms of need and and zakat potential. After the classification of beneficiaries, there will be a second layer of verification that could be done by human or can be automated as well through integration with a local identification system such as Nadra in Pakistan. In the distribution step, data science will be used to analyze the donation collection, need of country, and how much funds should be distributed to the country. In a final step of zakat distribution, the system will be recommended the amount and the category that will be given to the individual according to the application submitted. On each step, the donor will be notified about their donation status and what impact their donation has created. In this way, the government will also be able to achieve the trust of the people in the system. So I believe if we can bring the zakat distribution model and microfinance together in the countries, the poor countries of Muslim world, we can work on unemployment reduction and alleviation of poverty from the society. And especially after the COVID situation, the world is got into a massive trouble and poverty circumstances and situations. And this kind of model and Islamic social finance, along with microfinance products, can really help people out from these troubled days. Thank you very much. And once again, I would like to congratulate all of the GIFR team for a great work. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Hussain Mohi-ud-Din Qadri, for an excellent model for alleviation of poverty. And we hope once we get to the practical stage, this model can be implemented and assist us to bring people out of the poverty, inshallah. So, mashallah, great model through the powerful tool or Islamic social tool of zakat. So thank you very much for enlightening session. Unfortunately, now moving on to the next part of the session. Unfortunately, because of the technical glitch, Mr. Ayman Sejiny, CEO of ICD, part of Islamic Development Bank Group, is unable to join us today. But mashallah, we have he sent his thanks and appreciation to the organizers, and of course he apologizes for his unavailability for the technical glitch, which is beyond anyone's control. So now moving on, let us try and use the time that we have and try and accommodate some of the question answers, benefit from the presence of some of the leaders in the industry. And we have about 10 minutes roughly where we can have Q&A, and once after that we'll have this 2 minutes video of DDCAP played again after the Q&A session before we wrap the session up. So I think my first question in general coming from the audience again is to Professor Humayon Dar on the Global Islamic Finance Report. Thank you very much for the report. As the question, whoever has asked the question states, they see the growth of Islamic finance, the progress of Pakistan in general in the Islamic finance index, 4 positions. So the question that is put forward is why this progress has taken place beside the COVID-19. Of course, the data is before COVID-19, but if you can just highlight some of the reasons why Pakistan has moved up 4 positions.
Right. Thank you very much once again. And I must thank Dr. Hussain Mohi-ud-Din Khadri for an excellent presentation. And I would encourage everyone to read this chapter in the report, which is very practical, and it has huge implications for not only poverty alleviation, but also contributing towards the achievement of sustainable development goals, which is on the global agenda. Now, coming to Pakistan, along with other 2 gainers I have mentioned, it has improved significantly primarily because of the emphasis on the issuance of sukuk. So this is one thing very important in terms of contribution of improvement of IFC in Pakistan. Since this government came into power, there has been a regular issuance of sukuk, which have been used for liquidity management by not only Islamic banks, but by other banks in the country as well. Also, there is a huge momentum in terms of public awareness of Islamic banking and finance. A number of institutions, including, this conference by Minhaj University Lahore is one evidence of this. There is huge emphasis in institutional framework on Islamic banking and finance. The establishment of centers of excellence by the State Bank of Pakistan in 3 universities in Pakistan has contributed a lot in terms of intellectual development or development of human resources in the country. So because this is a multivariate analysis, all these factors, they have contributed to the improvement of IFC in case of Pakistan. I must say that size is also an important contributing factor. The growth of Islamic banking in Pakistan has been phenomenal. Right now, I don't have the exact figure, but it's about 20% growth in the Islamic banking deposits / assets in the country, which is a very impressive growth of Islamic banking and finance. Another factor which previously, unfortunately, we were not taking into account in case of Pakistan, and this was our limitation in terms of data collection, and that is the more inclusion of Islamic fund management in our data. Islamic fund management is actually very impressively developing in Pakistan. So I would not like to sound like marketing some of the institutions, but if you Google, you will find that there are institutions. So one particular institution has about 250 million USD AUM. Okay. In terms of its Islamic funds, okay, which is something very impressive in a country where the fund management is in PKR, and converting that into dollars, okay, that becomes a very small AUM. But having 250 million USD AUM, only one institution, that will give you the idea. Now, although the exchange rate has gone down, but still the total AUM of Islamic fund management industry in Pakistan is slightly over $500 million USD. So this kind of factors, improvements in data, improvements in coverage, sukuk, awareness and education, and of course there is continuous improvement in regulations in Islamic banking and finance in the country. This is, all these factors have contributed to a significant improvement of Pakistan on IFC.
Excellent. Thank you very much. A similar question comes. I know Islamic Finance Country Index also provides the gauge to various Islamic finance industries in different markets to see and learn the growth of Islamic finance in across. So, for example, if a country wants to learn the progress of another country, IFC provides a good gauge to start with, and they can learn from the development that has happened in the local market. So similar question is asked on, you gave a very good example of Bangladesh. What has been different? What have they done differently in Bangladesh that the progress has been so steep in that sense?
Bangladeshis are very modest people. They have been doing a lot of things in different sectors, and Islamic banking is not an exception. The problem, if I use this, the problem with the Bangladeshi market has been that despite having done a lot of things, they wouldn't talk about this thing on an international forum. It has been only lately, for the last 3 years, that they have started becoming visible internationally. And because of that, a lot of players in the market are taking note of them. 3-4 years back, no one or very few people, I was one of them, we were looking at Bangladesh with keen interest. But even now, when we tell people that nearly 30%, 28% of the banking sector in Bangladesh is Sharia compliant, people would be caught by surprise. When we talk about this 30%, 32, 33, 34% market share, normally we talk about the GCC countries.
Absolutely.
Now, Bangladesh has achieved this thing very, I should say, silently. It's almost the same size as in case of Malaysia, proportion, okay, 28%, 29%. Despite all these efforts in Pakistan, okay, still it's about 17% market share. So Bangladesh has done wonderfully well. And I must say that they have their efforts should be appreciated even more, given that the overall regime in the country is not very much in favor of Islamic banking and finance. So I would say that the political framework, bureaucratic structure in the country is at best indifferent to Islamic banking and finance. So despite all these limitations, the country has done very well, and this is something which should be appreciated, and IFC has picked it up.
Absolutely. This is great. I mean, they've done a lot of great work, and it needs to be put up on the, at least it needs to be drummed up to ensure that the momentum continues and other countries can follow. So thank you very much. Dr. Hussain, I would like to bring you in the discussion. You shared a model, and you're also the chairman of an Islamic microfinance institution. The question is the model that you shared, is that being followed in the microfinance institution that you are chairman of? And if not, is that the plan going forward?
Yes, thank you for asking this question. Yes, actually, it's a new initiative, Al-Muakhad Islamic Microfinance, which we have initiated a couple of years back. There is another project called Apportion Relief. So at the moment, we are trying to focus the Zakat collection through that project and not Muakhad Islamic Microfinance. So through Zakat, giving businesses and microfinance products to the people, we have initiated already, and we are doing, but at a very small scale at the moment. As I have already mentioned, that it's been just it's a recent project, but we have a plan, inshallah, to take this whole concept further and enrich it and propagate it and bring more people on board. Because the model which I have presented, so that also needs an awareness as well in the society to make people understand that. Not just giving zakat with your own hand and dividing your annual zakat into a small bits and pieces and distribute among 1,000 people or 100 people. So you have to give awareness to the society to think otherwise, that instead of distributing the complete zakat in 100 people, if we give a complete zakat to a one person, so that next year that person is not standing in the queue where the people are collecting zakat from. So that needs an awareness as well. And the second thing in the model which we have tried to propose here, it is something to be done at the government level, because the private level, whatever, there is an interesting model, an example of Akhuwat Foundation. So they are doing a wonderful job in the market. So they are collecting zakat from the people and converting them into a microfinance. But these are the private sectors. We are doing it, a couple of other organizations. But at the government level, the first thing is to provide to seek the trust of the people in the government, that their zakat would be distributed in a proper manner. That is something one, the first point. And the second important thing then, that the government can collect the nationwide zakat, and then they can regulate that zakat and distribute through a proper government department like SMEDA to get the ultimate results which we are expecting in this form. The private sector can keep on doing it, but the results can be achieved, but this will maybe take 50 years. But if a government gets into it and they change the whole system around the new model of zakat, they can achieve those results of poverty alleviation and unemployment elimination from the society within 5 to 6 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Institutionalizing of zakat is a very hot topic and has a huge potential to change the dynamics of any society in general. So thank you very much. I know we are running out of time, but I need to ask Lawrence 30 seconds or even less than 15 seconds question, which is on their views of becoming, most recently you became a member of AAOIFI. And you were supporting a lot of these initiatives, in general. What are some of your thoughts? Just I want to wrap it up, but just wanted to, hear your voice again.
Thank you, Rizwan. Well, we were extremely honoured and proud to have been invited to become part of AAOIFI. As you'll know better than anybody, the significance of AAOIFI globally now, the footprint that it has, it's having an enormous impact on the industry. And positively, the positive developments that it's promoting, and we're seeing lots of changes now to Islamic practices. Institutions are having to adhere to new guidelines and procedures that are designed to enhance the industry moving forward. So, as a company, to have been invited to become part of the AAOIFI initiative is something we're extremely proud of, and we look forward to working very closely with AAOIFI moving forward. In the rollout of the various different initiatives that they're undertaking. So yeah, it's been a very proud year for us with that latest development.
Excellent, Lawrence, and keep supporting the good initiatives that you have been doing for a long time. With that, I just want to quickly play the video of DDCAP once again before we wrap up the session.
Thank you.
So everyone can hear.
I'm Stella Cox, Managing Director of DDCAP Group. We congratulate the Cambridge Institute of Islamic Finance on the launch of the Global Islamic Finance Report for 2021. DDCAP Group is proud and privileged to be a strategic partner.
Bismillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Al-ikhwa al-afadil. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. يسرني أن أقدم لكم مجموعة DDCAP التي تعمل في أسواق البيع المالية بالجملة، وتقدم خدمات الوساطة للمؤسسات المالية التي تلتزم بقواعد الممارسات المالية الإسلامية الشرعية وغيرها من القواعد المسؤولة. يتم تعزيز التزام DDCAP بالإجراءات المستدامة والمسؤولة عبر بيئة شركتنا ذات البنية التحتية وعروض الأعمال والمشاركة مع الأطراف الثلاثة وجميع خدماتنا. هدفنا هو نشر الوعي من خلال تعزيز الممارسة المسؤولة ضمن أعمالنا. تقوم DDCAP بدعم جميع أعمال التمويل الإسلامي الشرعي من خلال منصة خدمات التجارة الآلية التي تسمى إيثوس AFP. كما تقوم DDCAP بربط السوق المالية الإسلامية العالمية بمسؤولية.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This basically introduces DDCAP in a better way. But for more information, they're doing a lot of good work. Please do visit their website as well, and other supporters. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a lot of questions in general, and when there are leaders, we on the platform, this is one of our opportunity to ask all the questions that are out there. But unfortunately, we have run out of time. So with that, let me just thank our, the panelists and our keynote speakers. To start with, Dr. Hussain Mohi-ud-Din Qadri for the great model that he has presented, and we hope by the time of the next year's conference, we see that model in practice, inshallah. We thank DDCAP and Lawrence for sparing their time on a Sunday. I know how difficult it is, but thank you very much for being with us on a Sunday here. Thank you for the support and for the key remarks. And last but not the least, let me thank Professor Humayon Dar for the great initiative, for his thought-provoking and key initiatives, at Cambridge IFA and Cambridge Institute of Islamic Finance, through GIFR and other initiatives that he has been founding and being an important part of. We hope to see more and more initiatives. We heard one Islamic social finance report to be launched, which you mentioned, and we hope more and more initiatives are launched for the development of Islamic finance industry globally. So with that, we thank you so very much for being with us. And I hand it over back to Dr. Khurram Shahzad for the final proceedings. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.